Number 5 case on my list is going to be going to the snakebite. Now when we're talking about the snakebite, it has been outstanding over the past couple of months in a lot of different ways. We've seen unprecedented levels of growth. We've seen an absolutely massive amount of demand if we want to look at the unboxing numbers and the snakebite's individual demand. But most importantly, the snakebite does have some downsides. First up, the supply is absolutely massive. Being that it was the most recently introduced into the rare drop pool, there is a lot of these snakebite cases out there, which really limits the amount of growth we can see in a short time period. Plus, we obviously have seen that price point rise so much over the past couple of months, it's now gotten to a price point where it's rather expensive to invest into. With all that being said, I still think the snakebite is a rather outstanding case. I think there's a lot of potential behind it, and if we want to look at the fundamentals, we can see that obviously nothing is going to be drastically changing. Therefore, it's probably going to be continuing on the trajectory that it is right now. But it is very important to note that the trajectory up to this point was a lot more growth than we're probably going to be seeing moving forward. Obviously, the price point is going to increase a lot, but we're going to be in a position now where we're starting at a much more expensive price point, so getting a strong percentage growth is going to be a lot more complicated. Skinland is today's sponsor, and they're also sponsoring you with a free $10 on your first trade. It's where I personally sell my skins because you're going to be getting the highest rate out there. They're offering a maximum amount of money in a minimum amount of time, and it's going to be nearly instant with tons of different payout options. Combine that with their massive marketplace where you're going to be able to buy anything in the entire game you're looking for with a ton of different deposit options here as well. Right now, this is the #1 place to go ahead and sell or buy skins in my personal opinion, so go ahead, use code MasterShiny and check them out today. After that, we got the Fever and the Gathering case, and right now we're seeing a very interesting transition. That's because the unboxing numbers overall are not sustainable for the majority of cases. We've actually seen the Fever and the Gathering both creep up in price significantly. We're looking at $1.15 for the Fever. Currently, it drops and fluctuates a bit, and maybe $1 to $1.05 for the Gathering, which are both extremely higher than what we were seeing just a month ago. Now, honestly, I expect these price points for these to consistently between 90 cents to $1. That's most likely where they're going to be sitting long term. Just it's what we've seen the profit average out to, but it's very interesting. Right now, I don't think there's any real reason to get into these because it's a little bit of a higher price point, and looking at everything for the Armory, I highly doubt that Valve is going to be taking these out anytime soon, especially the Fever case. Now, the number 4 case on my list is going to be going to the Revolver. Now, the Revolver is the most expensive on this list by far, but it honestly is one of the ones that has always stood out from the rest of the pack for me. First up, it's the cheapest option to get some of those OG knives, which have not really seen too much action in the past month or two, but people are still very interested in this. Plus, the Revolver case is one that traditionally has been around for a long time, so we don't have a great accurate estimate of the supply, but we know that it's been constantly in demand, which is a really good sign moving forward, especially for some of these older rare cases. We really want to look at the demand. We can see that the Revolver is usually one of the ones to bounce back first, and overall people are really interested in the Revolver, but it comes with a very expensive price point. You do need to be very careful on that aspect because obviously you're investing $4 to $5 for just one case, which is why it's at number 4. It's a really solid case, but it's a lot more expensive than what I would suggest for honestly a lot of people. Now, talking about our active duty cases, 2 of them have had a very insane month. We're talking about our Fracture, we're talking about a Recoil, both of which have had a really nice trajectory over the past month, coming up with significant growth, which is really interesting for an active duty case. The biggest thing I want to point out is how volatile these exactly are. If we want to look at the price points over the past year for the majority of these cases, they have fluctuated so much that honestly, I think you're much better off looking at a rare case rather than an active duty, especially considering we just talked about it. The Recoil, the Fracture, they're up significantly over the past month. Dreams and Nightmares is nowhere near a good investment at how expensive it is, and the fact that it's still an actively dropping case. The Revolution and the Kilowatt as well are both ones that I would personally avoid. They just don't have enough for me right now, and overall the active duty cases are just way too volatile for a strong investment. Number 3 on my list is going to be going to the Clutch case. Now, the Clutch case has really stepped up its game in all aspects. First up, that price point is definitely expensive. We're looking over $1 for a Clutch case, which is a crazy amount of price for one case that we've really talked about a long time here, but the Clutch case fundamentals are actually looking quite insane. If you want to look at the estimated supply, it's on a significant downward trajectory. That's because the demand for this thing is nearly off the charts, almost as much as the snakebite, but because it was taken out so much earlier than the snakebite, these had this chance to go down in supply significantly quicker. I really like where the Clutch case is sitting at. If we want to look at the fundamentals, we mentioned it time and time again, this thing is rock solid. The price point is definitely a little bit more expensive than the snakebite, but honestly, I'm really liking the price point it's at right now. It's not too expensive, but it's also not too cheap. I think it's found its perfect middle ground, and it's definitely one I would highly suggest to check out because everything about it screams that this case is going to be on a very significant future trajectory. Now, talking about our discontinued cases, there's a lot to break down, but it really comes down to obviously the Riptide, the Broken Fang, and the Shattered Web. Now, when we're talking about these cases, in my honest opinion, I think the majority of them have really peaked past the price that's going to be the most optimal to invest. Obviously, the Riptide case at $15 to $20 in that range is probably going to be continuing to go up, but the opportunity cost is way too high. These cases are stagnant for a while and then they shoot up in price. I really don't don't think honestly it's worth the majority of your value for an investment unless you're looking for something that's super safe. I mean, there's a lot better options in the cheaper rare cases or even the mid-tier ones at this point. Now, talking about a case that has absolutely exploded, it's going to be the CS20. Now, if you've watched me for a while, you know I absolutely despise this case, but I also recommend it because my personal bias is not going to be overriding the fact that the fundamentals are actually quite strong, and that's exactly what we're seeing here. The price point has gone a little bit in an exponential type curve, which is really nice to see. There's a lot of profit to be made with a case like this. If we want to look at it, the fundamentals on this thing are solid enough. It's just struggling from a really low unboxing number, but the supply is also on a lower end, so it kind of balances out. Now, giving you a breakdown of our mid-tier cases, we've got our Spectrums, we've got our Gammas, we got our Wildfires, along with a couple others inside of this area. We really haven't been seeing too much going on, and that's not a bad thing. The majority of these cases still are being unboxed at pretty strong rates, which is good enough. The biggest thing about this area is none of these cases are bad investments. They're just not at the top of their game right now. That's because right now they don't have the hype, and even though they're being unboxed at a decent rate, the truth is they're a little bit more expensive and they don't have a strong opportunity cost. So they're not the ones I would personally recommend, but they do have a strong investment opportunity. They're just expensive. And then lastly, we got to check in on the glove case. It's been a very interesting month. We saw it go down maybe 15% in just the span of 2 weeks, and it seems like that has pretty much recovered back to the point we were at just around a month ago. It's very interesting. The glove case has really turned to a point now where it's all around the hype rather than the fundamentals of the glove case, but it's definitely one that's still being unboxed at a fair rate, so definitely keep your eye on it, but the price point is way too high for an investment that I would personally want to make right now. Now, the number 2 case on my list is going to be going to the Danger Zone case. Now, hands down, the Danger Zone case is one of the best investments I think you can make right now. The fundamentals on this thing are absolutely insane. We're talking some of the best unboxing numbers. We're talking some of the best demand overall for a case. It's a really good position to be in, but there are some cons that come along with it. The first one is going to be the price point. This thing has gone up so much in value. It's been such a good investment, but now we're getting to the point now where it's hard to advise future investment into it as strongly because obviously that price point is a little bit more expensive. Still think it's a great investment. Obviously, it's number 2 on the list, but it's significantly more expensive than it was just a year ago. Otherwise, I think it's a really solid position. Honestly, it doesn't have too much competition from the Horizon case, so it's a really good long-term investment. But without a doubt, my number 1 case is going to be the Prisma 1 or the Prisma 2. Both of these are kind of equal in the current market, and therefore I would go whichever one is cheapest. But if we want to look at the fundamentals on these things, they are perfect. We're talking about one of the highest unboxing numbers for both of these cases, which is absolutely insane. The supply is not something that's going to be absolutely massive, and the best part about this is you've got 2 cases which are both moving pretty much together. So if you're able to get one for 15 cents cheaper than the other, it's very likely they're going to rebalance at some point. You're going to be getting an equal price point, and the best part about these things are they're just so solid. Obviously, we talk about the Prisma 1, Prisma 2. The unboxing numbers are there. The fundamentals are there. Everything about these cases is there, and that creates the perfect investment for you if you're trying to get into one right now. It's what I would highly suggest. But that's all I got. Thank you so much, and I hope you have a great rest of your day.